Speaking of power couples and public meltdowns, last night's episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live wasn't just another monologue. It was a televised demolition. The target? Donald Trump and Melania. But this time, the explosion didn't come from Jimmy's punchlines. It came from Trump himself. It started like every late-night show, smooth jazz, flashing lights, a live audience waiting to laugh at something they already knew would sting. But no one expected Kimmel to drop a segment so surgical, so pointed, that it would send Trump into a social media tailspin within minutes. Jimmy opened the show with a grin that spelled trouble. "You know," he said, leaning on his desk like a man about to deliver divine gossip, "every day I wake up and thank the heavens for the Trump family, because without them, my writers would be unemployed." Laughter, applause. Cue the first clip, a video montage that played like a highlight reel from a political sitcom. There was Melania, trying her best to look presidential beside her husband, who was, in true Trump fashion, narrating his own greatness into a camera. Except this time, Kimmel had edited the audio. Every time Trump bragged, the screen cut to Melania rolling her eyes, adjusting her dress, or giving that signature look, the one that says, "I'm smiling because my contract says I have to." The crowd lost it. Jimmy smirked. It's like watching a man auditioning for sainthood while his wife silently applies for witness protection. The audience erupted again, but behind that laughter, you could sense the setup brewing. Kimmel wasn't just clowning around, he was loading ammo. Within minutes, the segment hit the internet. Truth Social, lit up. Trump's account, usually quiet before dawn, started spitting out posts like a malfunctioning typewriter. "Disgusting, Kimmel should be fired immediately," one post screamed in all caps. Another read, "Melania and I are the greatest couple in history, way better than Sleepy Jimmy and whatever he has." The irony? Melania hadn't said a word. In fact, sources claimed she wasn't even watching the show. She was in another room, reading design magazines and pretending the internet didn't exist. But Trump couldn't help himself. He was watching every second, and every joke landed like a punch to the ego. Kimmel wasn't done. He rolled another clip, this one from a recent Trump rally, except he'd added subtitles that told an entirely different story. Every time Trump bragged about his record crowd sizes, the subtitles translated his words into a version that stung. "Look at all these people who came to see me instead of their therapists." The crowd roared. Jimmy leaned back, laughing. "I'll say this, the man's energy is unmatched. You could power half of Los Angeles on the fumes from his ego alone." By now, backstage, his team was getting real-time updates. One producer whispered, "He's posting again." Another said, "His publicist just called Fox. He's demanding airtime." Trump wasn't taking the roast lightly. He never does. For him, comedy is treason, and Kimmel, public enemy number one. Here's where it got wild. Usually, Trump is the one front and center, the loudest in the room. But this time, Kimmel flipped the spotlight straight onto Melania. "Let's not forget our First Lady of Eternal Patience," Jimmy said. "Melania, a woman who has perfected the art of looking like she's in the wrong Uber." Cue the audience laughter again, but this time the camera cut to something unexpected. A clip Melania herself had posted earlier that week, thanking fans for birthday wishes. Harmless, right? Not the way Kimmel played it. He spliced it with clips of Trump interrupting her speeches, waving over her shoulder, or walking 2 steps ahead while she trailed behind. The result, a tragicomedy of miscommunication that had the audience crying with laughter. And then came the dagger. Jimmy looked into the camera, serious for a beat. "You know, I actually feel for her. Imagine living in a house where every sentence starts with I and ends with me." The audience gasped, not because it was cruel, but because it was true. Kimmel had crossed from comedy into commentary, and Trump's fuse had officially burned down to nothing. Within the hour, Trump's posts had gone from angry to apocalyptic. "Kimmel is a failure. Nobody watches his show," he wrote, while trending at #1 on every platform. "He's jealous of my beautiful wife," another one read, followed by a dozen exclamation marks and a low-res photo of the couple from 2016. Except now, every meme page in America was having a field day. One headline read, "Trump confirms still watching Kimmel, despite claiming he doesn't watch Kimmel." Meanwhile, Melania, who used to be the quiet one, decided to speak. Her spokesperson released a single sentence: "The First Lady prefers not to engage with clowns." Boom! The internet exploded again. CNN replayed it. Kimmel read it live on air and responded, "Fair. I mean, she's married to the ringmaster." And that was it, the line that broke the camel's hairpiece. Trump lost it. Inside Mar-a-Lago, staffers said the mood went from tense to Category 5 meltdown. Aides whispered that Trump was pacing, phone in hand, dictating tweets like a general at war. "Get me a camera," he barked. "We're going live." His team hesitated. Going live meant unfiltered Trump, a nightmare for PR, a dream for late-night comedy. But no one could stop him. Minutes later, he appeared on a live stream, eyes burning, face red, and voice trembling with fury. "This is disgusting," he shouted. "Jimmy Kimmel is a terrible person, the worst host in TV history. He disrespected me, disrespected Melania, and disrespected the American people." He paused, waiting for someone to agree. Silence. Then he added, "And by the way, we had bigger ratings, much bigger. Everyone says it." Somewhere, Jimmy Kimmel was watching, sipping tea, grinning ear to ear. "Thank you, Mr. President," he whispered to himself. "You just gave me tomorrow's monologue." News outlets replayed the rant all night. Hashtags like Trump meltdown and Kimmel strikes again dominated social media. Memes flooded TikTok. Someone edited Trump's live rant into a remix, auto-tuned, synced with a laugh track, and titled "The Art of the Squeal." Even his allies were ducking for cover. One advisor told reporters, "We're advising the president to take a break from television." Another sighed, "We said that yesterday, too." And Melania? She'd gone completely silent again. No tweets, no statements, no appearances. Just a photo leak from inside the Palm Beach mansion, her reading quietly by a window while Trump shouting into a phone in the next room. The contrast said everything. By the next night, Kimmel had done it again. Another episode. Another segment. This time he titled it, "The Trump Show, Now Streaming in Real Life." He played clips of Trump's rant spliced with laugh tracks, applause, and fake commercial breaks. The audience howled. Jimmy ended the segment with a smirk. "You know, at this point, I don't even need writers. I just need Wi-Fi and Trump's social media." Cue the outro music. Curtain down. But the damage? Just beginning. Trump was furious, humiliated, and now determined. He swore revenge, promising the biggest, most powerful comeback in media history. Little did he know, Jimmy was already 2 steps ahead. The morning after Jimmy Kimmel's roast, Mar-a-Lago looked less like a luxury resort and more like a crisis command center. Phones were ringing, staffers were sprinting, and somewhere in the chaos, Trump was still glued to the TV, rewinding Kimmel's monologue frame by frame like a man searching for evidence of a crime. "Play that again," he barked, jabbing a finger at the screen. "Right there. See? He said I look orange. That's defamation. That's a lawsuit." An aide cautiously replied, "Sir, that's just a lighting joke." Trump squinted. "Lighting joke, my. Nobody jokes about lighting when it comes to me. I invented good lighting." Behind him, Melania was scrolling her phone, unbothered. "Maybe if you don't watch him, he stops talking about you," she said calmly. Trump spun around. Don't watch. Are you crazy? That's like saying if you stop eating, you stop being hungry. Doesn't work that way, Melania. But for Melania, it did work that way. She had perfected the art of quiet survival. She didn't fight back. She vanished. When things got loud, she went silent, which, ironically, made her louder than him. And as Trump's meltdown made headlines across every network, something unexpected happened. Kimmel doubled down. That night on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Jimmy appeared on stage wearing sunglasses and holding a tiny golden trophy. This, he announced, is for surviving another Trump tantrum. I'd like to thank the Academy and Truth Social for making it all possible. The audience roared. He cued a new montage titled The Real Housewives of Mar-a-Lago. The clips were brutal, perfectly timed edits of Trump pacing, ranting, gesturing wildly, paired with a soft reality TV soundtrack. Every time Trump shouted fake news, the screen flashed with slow-motion footage of Melania rolling her eyes in 4K. Kimmel leaned into the bit. Some couples go to therapy, some go on vacation. The Trumps, they go viral. The crowd howled. But this wasn't just comedy anymore. It was character assassination disguised as entertainment, and Trump knew it. Within hours, his advisors were split. Some begged him to ignore Kimmel. Others urged retaliation. Trump chose both, loudly. Trump gathered his inner circle, pacing back and forth in a gold-trimmed room that looked like Liberace's dream diary. On the table, a mountain of cheeseburgers, a laptop, and a notepad labeled Kimmel Payback Ideas. He pointed at his team. We're not taking this lying down. We're going to strike back bigly. One aide hesitated. Sir, what exactly do you want us to do? Simple, Trump said, puffing out his chest. We start our own late-night show. Better, funnier, stronger. We'll call it Real Late with Donald Trump. We'll get bigger laughs, better ratings. Everybody says so. The room fell silent. A few aides exchanged looks. Finally, one brave soul said, You hosting a comedy show? Trump grinned. Why not? I've been running one since 2016. Even Melania couldn't hide a smirk. Just don't invite yourself as guest, she muttered. The next few days turned into a media circus. Trump began teasing his new show online, posting mock set designs and promising it would destroy the fake news comedians once and for all. Kimmel naturally saw the bait and bit hard. On his show, he held up a fake movie poster. Trump, the sit-down comedy, rated R for repetition. Jimmy grinned. I'm not worried. The man's been telling the same joke for 8 years, and it's still not funny. Boom. Instant viral moment. CNN replayed the clip. Fox half defended, half cringed, and Twitter, ever hungry for chaos, erupted with memes. One showed Trump behind a desk shouting, "You're fired," at a laugh track. Another showed Melania co-hosting, captioned, America's Next Top First Lady, Season 2, The Revenge Tour. Trump hated it. Melania, on the other hand, seemed oddly at peace. While he spiraled into fury, she was playing chess, quietly, strategically, and with moves no one saw coming. Without warning, Melania announced something that blindsided everyone, including Trump himself. She released a video, polished and elegant, thanking all the people who support kindness, grace, and quiet strength. Her tone was soft, almost maternal, but the subtext was razor-sharp. Sometimes, she said, laughter can hide cruelty. Sometimes, it is better to smile and move on. Within minutes, journalists and influencers dissected every word. Was she shading Jimmy? Was it a dig at Trump? Or both? The mystery made her viral. Kimmel played the clip on his show and chuckled. I think she just subtweeted her husband in 4K. Trump didn't laugh. She's not talking about me, he fumed. She's talking about him, Jimmy Kimmel. Everyone knows it. But deep down, he wasn't sure. Because for once, Melania had the narrative, and the internet loved her for it. Behind closed doors, Trump's team scrambled. Pollsters warned that Melania's subtle grace was winning public sympathy. Memes labeled her the real First Lady of irony. Editorials called her the calm in Trump's storm. Trump couldn't stand it. "She's not the calm," he shouted during a meeting. "I'm the calm. Everyone says I'm calm." A pause. Then one aide quietly replied, "Mr. President, you just yelled that." The room went silent. In moments like that, you could almost feel the walls of Mar-a-Lago tremble from the tension. Not political tension, but personal. Kimmel had accidentally, or maybe intentionally, turned a comedy feud into a marriage headline. Every joke now had consequences. Every punchline fueled paranoia, and Trump's obsession grew darker by the day. It happened midweek. A reporter from Vanity Fair managed to ask Melania a question outside an event. "Mrs. Trump, what did you think of Jimmy Kimmel's jokes?" Melania paused, smiled faintly, and replied, "He has freedom of speech, and I have freedom of silence." The clip went nuclear. Cable news replayed it. Twitter turned it into merch. Someone even embroidered it on a hat. Within hours, hashtag freedom of silence trended above hashtag make America great again. Kimmel, always ready, opened his next show with it. "I'd put that on a mug, right next to make America laugh again." Trump, predictably, did not see the humor. "She's mocking me," he told aides. "She's been compromised, probably by Kimmel, maybe by Disney. We're investigating." At that point, his staff just nodded. No one dared argue anymore. As the feud spiraled, something strange happened. The audience began tuning in to Kimmel not for the jokes, but for updates on Trump's next meltdown. Ratings soared. YouTube clips racked up millions of views. Jimmy's team noticed the pattern. One writer quipped, "It's like Trump's our executive producer at this point." And he was, unintentionally. Every outburst gave Kimmel another episode, another punchline, another viral moment. Melania's calmness became its own kind of performance art, the silent foil to her husband's theatrical chaos. The internet turned it into a narrative, beauty and the bluster. Late-night hosts, TikTokers, even stand-up comics picked it up. Trump had become not just a punchline, but an ongoing genre. Then came her big move. One evening, Melania appeared on a European talk show, her first solo interview in months. The host asked softly, "How do you deal with so much noise around you?" She smiled. "I don't shout, I design my piece." The audience applauded. The quote spread like wildfire. Kimmel replayed it, admiringly this time. "Honestly," he said, "that's the best burn I've ever heard," and she didn't even raise her voice. The audience agreed. The joke wasn't on her anymore, it was on him. Trump couldn't take it. The night Kimmel aired that clip, he went live again on Truth Social, rambling for 40 minutes straight about Hollywood traitors and jealous losers. At one point, he even tried to impersonate Kimmel. Badly. "You see, folks," he said, waving his hands, "Kimmel, he's a nobody. I made him famous. Everyone says so. He used to cry when I didn't tweet about him." Meanwhile, Melania sat quietly in another room, sipping tea, watching the same live stream, not out of concern, but out of resignation. This was the man she'd married, a one-man fireworks show that never ran out of sparks. She turned off the TV, whispered, "Enough," and went to bed. Trump kept ranting, unaware that outside his echo chamber, the world was laughing again. The sun rose over Mar-a-Lago, but peace didn't. Inside, Trump was already pacing, phone in hand, hair defying gravity like it knew something catastrophic was coming. Overnight, Jimmy Kimmel had done the unthinkable again. It wasn't just another roast, it was a full-blown segment titled The Trump Trilogy, from tweets to tantrums. 3 nights of jokes, 3 nights of ratings gold, and one man on the verge of spontaneous combustion. Trump watched the replay on loop, muttering under his breath, "Fake, disgusting, unfunny. His aide tried to lower the volume. "Sir, maybe—" "No," Trump snapped. "Turn it up. I want to hear every lie this loser says about me." The irony, he didn't realize that every viewing added to Kimmel's ratings. Kimmel's new segment was a masterclass in late-night warfare. It opened with mock documentary narration. In the beginning, there was chaos, and then there was Trump. Cue dramatic music, slow zooms, and black and white clips of Trump shouting at rallies, cutting ribbons, and swatting away reporters. Kimmel's voiceover continued. Historians may debate his legacy, but one thing's certain: his Wi-Fi connection has never known peace. The audience roared. Then came the punchline, a fake trailer for an upcoming Netflix special titled The Apprentice, The Unhinging, starring Trump as himself and Melania as the woman who saw it all and said nothing. The trailer ended with Melania's real quote, "I design my peace." The room erupted, Twitter caught fire, and Trump, somewhere in Florida, finally exploded. He didn't call his lawyer, he didn't call his advisor, he called his camera crew. "Set up the lights," he demanded. "I'm going live right now. We're gonna hit back big time." Within 10 minutes, his stream went live to millions of viewers. His opening line, "Folks, I just watched the most disgusting thing ever done on television since Rosie O'Donnell tried comedy." His voice shook. His face gleamed like a glazed ham under studio lights. He leaned in, eyes wild. "Jimmy Kimmel, I know you're watching. You're a nobody, a zero. Without me, you'd still be making jokes about Matt Damon. Sad." Then he took a deep breath, straightened his tie, and continued. "And by the way, Melania, she agrees with me completely." Cut to Melania, standing off camera, arms folded, giving the exact opposite impression. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. That silence said everything. The live chat exploded with laughing emojis. Kimmel's team clipped the moment and posted it instantly. Within minutes, the hashtag Melania side-eye was trending worldwide. The next evening, Kimmel walked on stage to thunderous applause. He didn't even speak for the first 30 seconds, just smiled, soaking it in. When the crowd finally settled, he began softly. "You ever roast a marshmallow so long it catches fire? That's what we did to the former president this week." The audience howled. Kimmel continued, "He says Melania agrees with him," which is true. She agrees that he should stop talking. The laughter rolled like thunder. Then Jimmy turned serious, mock serious, for a beat. "Listen, Donald, if you're watching, and we know you are, we're not making fun of you. We're making fun for you. You've been the best material we've had in decades." He paused. "In fact, we're thinking of sending you royalties." The audience erupted. Somewhere in Palm Beach, a phone flew across the room. The world had seen enough shouting, enough live rants, enough late-night rebuttals. But Melania, she played a different game. That weekend, she posted a single photo on her social media. A serene beach, waves rolling in, the caption, "Some voices are louder when they say nothing." No hashtags, no tags, no names, just peace. Designed, deliberate, devastating. The internet exploded. Every outlet covered it. CNN called it a poetic mic drop. The New York Times called it a quiet declaration of independence. And Jimmy Kimmel? He read it live, smiled, and said, "I think she just fired her husband in cursive." The crowd went wild. Overnight, Melania's post overshadowed Trump's rant completely. People weren't replaying his live stream anymore. They were quoting her caption. Late-night hosts, journalists, and influencers all joined in. The narrative had flipped. Trump's voice, once the loudest in every room, now echoed hollow, buried under laughter and memes. Even conservative outlets struggled to spin it. One commentator sighed on air. Maybe, just maybe, he should stop responding. But Trump couldn't stop. The man thrived on the echo, even when it was against him. He kept posting, shouting, calling out fake news, until even his allies started quietly stepping back. Meanwhile, Kimmel ended his week with a final flourish. Friday night, Jimmy Kimmel Live opened with dramatic news music and a title card. Breaking: Peace found in Palm Beach. Jimmy grinned. According to reports, the former president has finally stopped posting. Doctors say his thumbs are in recovery. Laughter, applause. Then he added, "In all seriousness, we're happy to give him a break, because now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a very special guest." The screen cut to pre-recorded footage. A woman's silhouette, a gentle voice, and there she was, Melania herself, in a quiet, pre-taped segment filmed earlier in the week. Jimmy introduced it. "She sent this to us. No commentary, no drama, just art." The video played, a minimalist montage of gardens, sunlight, and Melania arranging flowers, her voice narrating softly. Sometimes silence speaks for itself. Sometimes laughter reveals truth. Both are needed for balance. The studio went silent. Even Jimmy, known for his quick quips, just nodded. "Well," he said finally, "there you have it, the calm after the tweet storm." The crowd rose in applause. For the first time in years, Trump went quiet. Not for long, of course, but long enough for everyone to notice. The feud had burned so bright it exhausted itself. His supporters blamed the liberal media. His critics called it karma in HD. And through it all, Melania remained the queen of quiet, the accidental winner of a war she never fought. In Hollywood, Kimmel's ratings broke records. His closing joke that week said it all. "Ladies and gentlemen, we just proved the theory of political gravity. What goes up tweeting must come down trending." By the time the next news cycle hit, Trump had moved on to a new target, a new feud, a new stage. But the world remembered this one, not just for the laughs, but for the shift it revealed. In the theater of public life, volume isn't victory. Sometimes the loudest roar is followed by the quietest fall. And sometimes the person everyone underestimates, the one standing silently beside the chaos, ends up writing the last line. As Kimmel closed his show, he looked into the camera, one final wink. To the former president, thank you for the memories. To Melania, thank you for the peace. And to America, you're welcome for the entertainment. Music swelled, credits rolled, and somewhere in Florida, a phone buzzed again. But this time, no one picked it up.